Consumers are struggling to make credit repayments. It's according to the South African Industry Insights report by TransUnion Africa. It measured 24 million active credit accounts over the second quarter of 2019, captured the major lending categories of credit cards, personal loans, vehicle and asset finance and clothing. The report notes that outstanding balances across the board have increased, with a surge in demand for personal loans. TransUnion South Africa Director of Research and Consulting, Carmen Williams, joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Jane.
Were you surprised at your findings? Is this what you expected?
Well, we weren't really surprised. We did see similar trends in the last quarter. So particularly this quarter, that has just been amplified a bit more. We see with the balance growth indicating high consumer debt demand that has been exacerbated this particular quarter. For example, credit card balance growth has grown by 12% year on year.
Wow. And why?
Well, we do feel that the current economic conditions are playing a role in the fact that consumers are taking strain. Consumers are using unsecured lending, particularly credit cards and personal loans, really to fund everyday expenses.
I should imagine that's pretty dangerous.
Indeed, it is. The difficulty with that is that consumers require this credit to make ends meet. We do see with rising unemployment and limited wage growth, there's not much room to move. When it comes to a situation where family members are being retrenched or unemployed, consumers are stretching already squeezed wallets.
And it's very difficult to get out of that cycle then, isn't it?
It is indeed. What we do find is that consumers who do take on additional debt do find it quite hard to pay. So it is important that consumers be quite prudent when they take on more debt.
And are our repayment schemes acceptable? I mean, like the balloon one, for example. I mean, that leads to quite a bit of damage, doesn't it?
In terms of vehicle asset finance, yes. So what we've seen in the vehicle asset finance market is that the structuring of the loans have taken a turn around the fact that most of these vehicles are now accompanied with massive balloon payments that are mainly due at the end of term, so between 5 and 7 years. And what has happened, one of three things could happen. Firstly, once the consumer gets to that 7-year term, they pay the balloon payment up in full. They could either roll that payment up into an additional vehicle loan, or they struggle to make ends meet and they default on that loan. And we have seen defaults increase substantially over the last 2 years, specifically for vehicle asset finance.
And what are you seeing as far as homes are concerned and loans there?
So what we have seen is that originations for home loans, that means new home loans, compared to last year, have been down about 13%. So it's important to note that this is off the back of a quite fast growth quarter when we compare to 2018. But having said that, the current sentiment in the economy for the country, consumers are limiting and quite cautious in taking on a long-term financial commitment.
Which is not a bad idea right now.
Which is not a bad idea right now, given the current economic volatility.
And what are you projecting from now on? Excuse me, what are we likely to see?
We are expecting to see this trend continue, but we do think that, we work as TransUnion, we work quite closely with lenders. We provide them with tools to make better credit granting decisions, and we are expecting that the current situation will be managed accordingly.
Because I believe many lenders are pulling back, aren't they?
We are seeing that trend, specifically when it comes to the number of new accounts being granted. Lenders are being quite cautious, also keeping the consumer in mind and the amount of debt that they can handle.
So that's an important relationship, isn't it?
It's absolutely an important relationship. And what we also see is that lenders are understanding that consumers do need credit. They are granting that credit, but within limits.
All right. Carmen Williams, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.